Hi, I'm Jill Sinclair from London. I'm here today representing the Resilience Council and GTTP. Just to explain, this conference has been quite pivotal, and I'll give you the reason why. Minister Bartlett, who I think is amazing, he's like a warrior in the tourism business, and we work with him as part of the Resilience Council. He's the co-chair. And what I love about post-COVID is that people got together to really talk about the issues. And one of the fundamental issues with COVID is that we lost so many people, 63 million, but we lost people permanently. And while we're trying to recover that, and I think we've got all the, IBM, Future thinks saying there's 8.4 million people coming back. What the Resilience Council did with Mr. Bartlett and key people was suddenly say, wait a minute, we're actually not addressing some of the fundamental issues here. So what we've done is we've formed this collective with about 18 businesses at the moment, 130 countries. And what we're going to do is actually change the whole supply chain, educate not only the suppliers in terms of hotels, but reach into the beginning of the whole idea of making young people aware of what tourism can do. Go through from the young age, look at what we can do for the 16 to 19-year-olds entering the industry, maybe change the perception of what the opportunities are within the industry. Because when we've interviewed students, a lot of them say, well, it's the hotels. And we say, well, no, actually, like, sort of Adam from Sandals said, it's everything. Construction, you've got wellness. There's one hotel we know about who's got a director of WOW who is just on entertainment. So the purpose of TEAM, and it's in its early inception, was to do some validation research with the stakeholders, the hoteliers, tour operators, airlines, hotel. But now what we're going to do is do some sentiment analysis with the talent. Why aren't they wanting to come into the industry? So it's the beginning of something amazing. What it does actually sort of support is this whole thing about being collaborative. What I find a lot with the tourism industry, and I haven't been in it for years and years, is that it becomes quite insular. So I think we've got to break it open. And what TEAM is going to do with the Resilience Council, with Minister Bartlett and all the companies, is change everything. It's a paradigm shift, and that's what we want to do.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So sentiment analysis, what happens next?
What happens next is that we create the framework to not only create the sort of the training, the education, the structure to deliver not only education, but to enable companies, hoteliers, large, small cruise liners, to come onto a central portal where they can actually see, that they can actually reach into the workforce or the talent coming up. But they can also get, particularly the small companies, they can access free training or put their training on there and actually get into the supply chain of talent. And that's what we've got to do. But it means working together, being a little bit more adventurous in the way we think, and understanding how we've got to look at the way the tourism industry is perhaps not articulated, the job opportunities, the career pathing. We've got to look at gender equality. We've got to look at flexibility. We've got to look at the whole area. But we can't deny the business model, but what we've got to do is make the changes and basically be the sort of marriage brokers in between from the supply side and the demand side.
And what sort of response and appetite do you think there is from an industry point of view for this?
I think there's huge appetite because if you've got roles that are left open, I've worked with hotels in London where they couldn't fulfill events. You're also talking about the quality of skills as well, because it's not just about filling, a bartender. It's actually about saying, how do you educate, stimulate the business, the people in the world? Why are we getting migration, into technology and pharmaceuticals? But why don't we bring to life the exciting opportunities within tourism that are around myriad of skills, rather than what we perceive as being the normal old-fashioned, go into a hotel and be an F&B manager? We've got to break it open. And I think that's something we could do so well with the content from a lot of very innovative, travel and tourism companies, bring it to life and make it happen.
And you've got obviously some really challenging kind of economic kind of sort of headwinds, I guess, in a sense. You've got kind of cost of living, you've got sort of inflation, you've got sort of the kind of post-pandemic kind of recovery that we're still on from an industry point of view. The industry itself is, in relative terms, kind of an underpayer of talent as well. How do you see you being able to kind of help the industry kind of navigate that storm?
I think what we've got to think about is how destinations and the industry is actually extending its reach into the experiential tourism element. What we've seen is that some people have had to pivot and actually look at some of the areas that are actually going to be what the sort of Gen Z wants, the millennials, even the baby boomers. Conscious tourism, responsible tourism, wellness. There has been, I think, in many years, a lot of the countries have articulated the same message, which is almost commodity-like. I know you can go upscale and stay in luxury, but why don't we just step back and actually see what the mindset is now? And by developing product, by looking at collaboration, we're much more able to then actually make the businesses more robust.
I think that's a really, really interesting. We heard from one of your colleagues, I think, around sort of that sort of that shift that we're looking to make from kind of volume and sort of and sort of low margin to almost a more sustainable kind of model that benefits everybody.
Absolutely, and that means that you can have sort of opportunities to have a sort of thought-provoking vacation. Look, we all know we go for sun and sea occasionally, we go skiing, but we're working with some of the amazing tour operators, brands, artists, cultural, sort of icons. What we need to do is actually bring together the way that people actually want to be excited and have stories told to them. It's not formulaic. Some of the aggregators are doing that brilliantly. Years ago we wouldn't have thought about Airbnb. You think about that. You think about how people are actually improving their technology and reaching into people with influencers. So I think, to answer your question, yes, it's economically challenging, but those who are pioneers in this sector understand to bring new concepts and develop those concepts. And with that comes developing skills and also making sure that when you do present yourself, you're understanding the different typologies in the market. And I think that sometimes we've had too much cookie cutter in the past.
So Jill, someone's watching this video and they're wanting to get involved. How do they do that?
They basically they contact me at team@theresiliencecouncil.com. Come and help, get involved. We want to sort of create a mandate, a pledge. We want to make this happen. But our future is our youth. But we mustn't actually forget that some of the people who've been in the industry can be upskilled. And one of my bugbears is about actually making simple things work, particularly for women. And particularly in places like the Caribbean, where there's huge dependency on tourism. Why not make some of the careers more attractive, or visualize that, even make a film of what it means to be in tourism.
Tell some stories.
Tell some stories, exactly.
Jill, thanks so much for sharing
That's
today.
Okay.